Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fit Mama podcast. This is the work in to your workout. Hey, Jen Oliver here for this week's episode. I'm so excited to dive into this topic today. This topic is all about deserve. Do you deserve what you're getting in your life, what you see around you, your daily experience, what you're giving to yourself or restricting from yourself? I always talk about this with the Fit Mamas I work with, my private clients. We have a lot of conversations about deserving things because it's quite amazing how we use this word in sometimes a positive sense and sometimes a negative sense. So we either say, I deserve this, and that could be a great thing, or that could be a shit thing, interestingly enough, right? So you've probably said that before. Oh, I deserve that, or I deserve this. And it's a negative thing, as in you asked for it, but you really didn't want it, but somehow you deserved it. But you can also say, oh, I deserve this great thing. I deserve to have this or that, right? I often hear this in a sense that seems positive, but is really negative as well, where you say, oh, I deserve it. I've had a long day. I deserve to sit on the couch, or I deserve to eat a donut. And we almost have to justify things by telling ourselves we deserve it because somehow we've earned it in a positive way, maybe. But then actually the thing that we are giving ourselves in this moment of deserving is only sabotaging our efforts. And you may have heard of self-sabotage before. This is something I often talk about with clients as well. When we start to actually pinpoint specific things you're saying or you're thinking or you're doing every single day, massively aha moments that lead to behavior change, that lead to thinking change, that lead to a mindset change, that lead to you taking action on things that you've only thought or even not even just dreamed of, and you're ready. So I love talking to my clients. I know if you've ever had a coach before, or you're really looking to improve or up-level your life in any way, my clients, we're often working on their health habits. So a lot of it is focused around what you did or didn't do today that you wanted to do or not do, and why didn't you follow through? So what was really happening? And we don't dive into all the why of drama stories because that's not necessary. I'll hear you out if you have something you want to share. But the key part is actionable items, rearranging things in your brain where you are telling yourself you deserve something in a loving way, and then you sabotage your efforts because it actually isn't something you deserve, but you're confused by what you really deserve. And so the confusion often stems from imprinting, things that happened and were imprinted on us in our childhood, in our youth, in school, in work, with relationships, right? Things happen to us, or things go around us that we experience, and they change us, right? And recently I was at a park with my kids in Texas, and they were loving the park. It was like, we couldn't get enough of this park. They were like, go back to the park. Let's go 2-3 times a day to the park. This one specific park had diggers and the sand and the whole thing. This was very exciting. That being said, it was really a homeless park, and there was a lot of homeless people living there, hanging out there, chilling on the bench in the sand, making their own sand castles. And it was a little too close for comfort in some ways because there's an predictability, right, with those who have mental health issues. And that's not a judgment, that's a fact, right? And while we all have our mental health issues, I would like to ensure that I have a little more confidence in knowing certain things are or aren't going to happen around my kids. So, everything was safe at the park, but we were in Texas, and you're allowed to have guns in Texas. And clearly there was some people on drugs and some people selling drugs nearby. And I was like, I'm getting all the vibes saying this is not a good scene. Now, it really sounds worse than it was, but at some level, I was like, kids, we got to get out of here. So we left, a few times pulling them, and it was not great. But as we walked away, I had to explain to them why I pulled them away from this park, because we really had nowhere else to go, nothing to do, and the park was fun in some ways. So we went to find another park that was fun in more ways, without a digger, unfortunately. But they, in that moment, deserved, when we're using that word again, an explanation that went beyond me tearing them away, because they're at an age now where they understand. If I explain something to them, they understand. So how was I going to explain to them why I took them away from this park? Because they deserved, in that moment, the truth. And what you truly deserve is the truth. And so for what I explained to them was, to make a long story short very briefly, was that people go through traumas. Everybody has gone through their trauma. Everyone. Everybody has been through trauma. You being a mom, you've endured many traumas, physical, mental, emotional, every one of us has. And when we can start to justify and tell ourselves we deserve nothing but love, unconditional, full acceptance, love of who we are, what we are, just based the fact that we're here, not because we have this degree or because we earn this much or because we do this job or because we have this house or these kids. No, you deserve truth. You deserve your unconditional love and truth and honesty. And that sometimes is the thing that starts to block people from understanding what they really deserve. And truly, in the homeless people situation, they endured extreme traumas I can't even begin to imagine, maybe, and that changed their brain. Ultimately, these imprints, these intense emotional moments, when you're a child and you don't even know how to comprehend it, it changes the way your brain develops. And studies have shown now that our brains start to develop in utero. Clearly, science has shown that for a long while. The brain is developing inside the mother's womb. And what's actually going on is not only is the brain developing physically, because they start to build a spinal cord, they start to build this, that, and the other. Also, they're building emotional pathways and structures. And while we can't see them, because we can't see love, we can't see ultraviolet rays that burn our skin, but they still exist, these emotions and these intense anxieties, traumas that parents go through. Think about a mother who has been pregnant. Think about her trauma. We could think of millions of them right now. What would a pregnant woman have had to go through that could be considered a trauma? Anything. That's the thing. And it's not about one person's trauma is more extreme than another person's trauma. That's getting into comparison and competition over something that is ridiculous. Because if you endured some level of chemical change in your body, which is a fight and flight response, because holy shit, something just happened around me. It could have been a big bang. It could have been someone dropped dead. It could have been someone smashed glass. It could have been someone yelled at you. This changed the way your brain worked. And we are, as humans, we are a product of our environment, and what happens around us imprints on us to create pathways. And so it goes. So that's for something else. Another podcast, I'll go on about that one. But this one is about deserving. And so when we experience intense traumas in our lives, and we perhaps a trauma like neglect or abandonment, and that could be on a sliding scale. There's not, my parents left me and never came back. There was many, many levels of abandonment that could go on. Emotional abandonment, they're not available for you because they're going through their own traumas and trying to figure out what the heck happened in their last 30, 50 years, right? A lot of stuff. So this deserving idea is simply that. It's you asking yourself, well, did I deserve that? And children, since a lot of our major imprinting happens, actually all of it, when we're 0 to 7 years of age, that imprint makes such a difference in our brain that everything after that is interpreted based on that imprint. So if someone yells at us, we then have a fear response when someone raises their voice. And if that's a normal part of our language, and those languages or those cultures that have a yelling sort of thing that sounds like, or sometimes a different language just sounds like yelling, that can imprint on us thinking, okay, that's scary. Oh, well, that's normal. Everybody does it. And moving on. And it releases that chemical at first, and then it releases something else later that says, this is safe, this is just normal, okay. And that's how we adapt, right? We adapt, and our brain changes, our chemicals in our body change. Everything we experience through the day is truly based on our chemical makeup and our brain's messages. And that is why it's so important to ask yourself, what are the words you're using all day? And are those giving you a positive chemical response, or a fear-based chemical response, or an anger-based chemical response, or a grief-based chemical response? We have so many emotions, and they stem from often these three: grief, anger, fear. If what you're doing through the day, or what you're saying, or what you're thinking comes from fear, anger, or grief, what is that sending to your body? And what is that sending to those around you? And what are the words you're using? And does that make a difference if you're carrying a gun or not, doing drugs or not, sleeping or not? Yes, everything runs on that. So when I talk about deserving, I want you to ask yourself, what do I deserve? And then maybe journal about it a little, write some notes, write out some stuff. What do I deserve? Because you didn't deserve whatever traumas imprinted upon you when you were 0 to 7 years of age. But everything else in your life that's coming up now, while you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s, whatever, that is based on something that happened in the past. So there's always different levels of this. And this is what we talk about a lot of the time with my clients. And we kind of dissect stuff. So we don't go into the why, why did this happen to me? Well, I'll tell you the first reason why, because there was a lesson you needed to learn. And if you haven't learned it, it's coming back for you. And that's what we really do, is we integrate these lessons in our lives, and we say, this is why this happened, to teach me something. And if I haven't learned the lesson, I haven't integrated it, I haven't justified and told myself I deserve unconditional, magnanimous, beautiful love that has no judgment ever, that has forgiveness included as a part of it, compassion as the core of it, that is the work in. Right? That's what this podcast is all about. It is to remind you of what you truly deserve, FitMama. And you deserve love. You deserve love that begins within you, for you, because you are you. Just that's it. Nothing more. You don't have to say, well, I also cleaned the kitchen today. I deserve love. And I also made sure the kids were still alive and put to bed nicely, and they're sleeping, and gosh, they look so cute now. I miss them. But I need a big, deep breath. And what I deserve is a lot more big, deep breaths, a big jug of water, a walk. Maybe it's the ice cream I've been wanting all day. Maybe it's the wine. Maybe it's the bath, or the exercise, or the phone call, or the blowjob, or the you having your partner, husband, wife, queen, king, pleasure you for no reason other than you deserve that. And what if every day could end in you feeling pleasure, feeling true relaxation, feeling like you did do enough today, you did do your best today, you did move your body or live from your heart today. And if you're feeling a deep level of exhaustion, which is common but not normal, like peeing your pants once you've had a baby, common but not normal, meaning you don't have to live with it. So I explained to my kids that when they were kids, these homeless people, or the people around the park, when they were children, I said, at first I said they live there. So all those people live in that park. So that's kind of their park. And we needed to go. And those people live there because they endured some level of trauma in their life. And what level doesn't matter. It was to the level that changed their brains and their development such that their behavior changed and the way they thought changed. And all of a sudden, maybe they made different decisions. And we discussed a lot about risky decisions and non-risky decisions. And we have really quite deep conversations with my 6 and 8-year-old. And they said to me, you do risky things. And I said, yeah, I do actually do quite risky things. And things I wouldn't necessarily suggest you do, but I choose to do them. And I didn't feel like I needed to justify anything, but I said, what does Mom do that's risky? And the thing that my oldest daughter, my 8-year-old, thought of was when I went to jump in the ocean when I was in Hawaii with a bunch of friends at an event I was at, which was super fun. Everybody was going to jump off a cliff. And it looked like a very safe cliff. Let's be honest. I'm not a cliff jumper in the greatest sense of the word, but this was like 10 feet maybe. And it was to a very safe spot. Everybody's cliff jumping all day. You could just watch them from the shore. It was not far out. And I told my kids, this was when they were 2 and 4. I said, Mommy's going to go jump off that cliff. You know, I do say things that I regret. I'm not going to lie. That was one of them. And they said, no, Mommy, why are you going to jump off that cliff? They started crying. Of course, they thought I was going to die jumping off the cliff, which I appreciate. And my husband is not one for a roller coaster, let alone a cliff. So he was saying, absolutely not. You have kids. Why would you jump off a cliff? And so we kind of touched on that discussion. And by touched on, I mean, I said, I'm not going to tell them, but I'm going to jump off the cliff anyway. And it didn't faze me that they suggested otherwise. To me, this was a risk I was willing to take because it didn't feel high on the risk scale, okay? So everybody has a different scale. I felt that day that I deserved a cliff jump. And I was on a trip around the world with my kids. We were only just beginning, but we had spent 3 months living out of a suitcase in Airbnbs in Santa Monica, California, and Palm Springs, California. For 3 months, we lived in these beautiful, beautiful places, and we were going on a trip around the world, and Mama wanted a cliff jump to set things off. So I didn't tell them, and I did it. And then afterwards, there was probably a couple months later, I said, oh yeah, Mama did go off that cliff, and it was safe, and look, everything's good, and sometimes risky things are okay. I'm not suggesting these are life lessons you should teach your kids. I'm just saying what we talk about, and this mirrors life. We got to make decisions about what we say in our lives. And this actually happened this morning while we were driving to school. We're staying with friends who are about 35-minute drive from the kids' school now. And it used to be a 10-minute walk. So now we're driving and we're having great conversations. And this morning, my daughters, they love animals. And my little one, 6-year-old, loves cats. And so she knows about a pussy cat. And she starts saying, well, and my other one says, oh, well, what are these people called? Like, I know Australians are from Australia. So what are the people called from Pooza Land, which my daughter calls herself Pooza Kitty. And she's 6 years old. She loves being a kitty. She identifies as the family cat on most occasions, particularly when around strangers or people she's not comfortable with. She plays her Pooza Kitty role. She's a cat. She wants to just nuzzle in and be a cat. And so she said, is it Poozaians? Or she was trying to think of the word. And so Presley, the little one, Pooza, she said, oh, it's going to sound weird and different because it's not like Australians in Australia, but these people are called pussies after Pussycat in Pooza Land. And I'm listening to them having this conversation, and I'm like, she can't go around saying this because she's going to get laughed at or made fun of, or someone's going to snicker, and she's going to go, what the hell? Why don't I understand the joke? And I said to her, and okay, 6 and 8, I don't know if they're too young or too old. I think in this age, too old, because everybody around them listens and watches anything on YouTube and I don't know what, which I don't even know half the things. And I said to them, I said, you know what? Sometimes, and I understand that a pussy cat is the cat. And so we went on and on about this conversation. We went into exactly what some people call a pussy, which is a vagina. And it's not always a positive a loving idea of a vagina. So I didn't want to go deep into that, but I just said, it's not positive. It's not a great word. It's slang. Could be a swear word. And, then we go into that. And I said, Mama does swear sometimes. You don't swear. It's an adult word. And she said, you only use it when you're mad or frustrated, she said. And I said, yes, good ones, but not something we do. Anyway, long story short, I said at the end, would you rather hear this from someone else at school or on TV or someone who laughs at you because you don't know, or would you rather hear it from mom? And it's awkward. And they said, would rather hear it from mom. There you go. So in that moment, I said, this gives me the green light. I'll tell them this is an awkward thing, but I don't want you to hear this from someone else before me. This is how I interpret it. This is how you can too. You make a choice. And then we also talked again, bringing it back to the trauma, that if someone says something to them or about them, it's often more telling that that person has endured some type of trauma. And so I explained to them what trauma is, because we know maybe what a trauma is, and it could be anything, like I said, someone yelling, but someone doing horrible things, the unspeakable things that you bore witness to or you experienced yourself, horrible, unspeakable things. And people, when they experience things, which 1 out of 3 are experienced to horrifying physical, emotional, mental traumas, 1 out of 3, that's horrifying on the scale. Again, no comparison, but people are having their brains change, their experiences every day that are horrifying. You need only turn on the radio or TV or any of those things to know, right? We live in horrifying times. So with that, you're going to ask yourself, what do I deserve? What do my kids deserve? Right? I spoke to a woman who was absolutely beautiful, wonderful, sharing some crazy experiences that she's endured. And it's amazing how strong we are, but then how those experiences change our brain and somehow make us the problem, right? And that's a child's brain that is so scared that their parents are yelling, they think it's about them. Children naturally have that child's mind that it's about me. It's because of me. I did this. Oh, it's my fault. And then we bring this and create this into our own problem. Like we were the reason this bad, horrible thing happened. And even if you don't think that anymore, and even if you don't think of it cognitively or mentally, your thoughts or your emotions are really what will tell you. So if you're telling yourself, oh, I deserve this, or I deserve to skip my workout because I've worked so hard, don't use that word in a way where it's justifying something you really don't want to repeat often, right? It's like, oh, I deserve this chocolate bar. I've had a long day. Well, you do deserve a chocolate bar, and you may have had a long day, but why do they have to go in the same sentence? Just saying, I deserve a damn chocolate bar, and I'm going to eat a chocolate bar today because I want one, or right now I want a chocolate bar. Forget deserve. Deserve and chocolate bar has nothing to do with it. You deserve unconditional love. That's what you deserve. Everything on top of that comes not from grief, anger, or fear. It comes from deep, meaningful, unconditional love. So then if it's chocolate, or if it's a foot bath, or foot massage, or rub down, whatever it is, you do deserve that. Because how can you give that to yourself and sharing that with another? That is fun, right? When I'm wanting to feel unconditional love, I'm not wanting to go run out of my house. I'm wanting to be closer to those that I also love. And if they've annoyed me because I haven't set boundaries and put on too much onto my plate and now feel overwhelmed and can't please everyone and they get the brunt of it or I get their brunt, we start to build tension. And then we have other stories that justify certain things day in and day out, right? Oh, I deserve this. Oh, he deserves this. Oh, and then we go back and forth. And instead of realizing we are partners in all of it. So what you deserve, Fit Mama, above anything else in this world, and I want to give it to you on a silver platter by listening to this podcast and inviting you to book in to have a chat with me. You can go on jenoliver.com and book in a 15-minute chat with me. And I am really wanting to make that 15 minutes about you and make it really, really, really easy for you to realize in 15 minutes or less how damn deserving you are of unconditional love, of the body and life of your dreams, of feeling amazing every single morning, not feeling that super exhaustion fatigue, not feeling like you have to justify everything you do in a day, not feeling any of those feelings you wake up feeling, which is worn down, unappreciated, overwhelmed, like you can't get it all done, like it's gonna be wearing on you, like the stress is too much, like he or she never helped. You got this. And it's gonna be 15 minutes or less of chatting with me. And I wanna bring you into our next Fit Mama Foundations, because this is a 9-week program that I know will change the way you think and the way you feel. And I want to get on the phone with you to make sure it's a good fit. So go to jenoliver.com and come chat with me about what you do really, truly deserve. And we're going to talk all about that. And it's really about getting to the core of the issue. And I am your core transformation coach. And I am wanting to help you connect to what's really going on. And it's not about drama, it's not about stories, it's about what's really going on and what may or may not have happened in the past and how that changed your brain and how through new tools and new repetitive behaviors and thoughts, you can create anything you want. And that is the life of your dreams, living in a body you love every single morning, feeling energized, standing tall, engaging your life the way you want to be engaged with it. So I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to hear from you, because this podcast is all about you and what you deserve. And I want you to start to notice when you use that word this week. So if you're saying these I deserve, or these words around deserve, or if you're justifying your behavior and saying, I should do this and I have to do this and I deserve this because I've had a hard time, I've kept it together for this long and now cannot any longer, then what you deserve is to get on the phone with me. And what you deserve is to take a load off you and to reshuffle the priorities, which is a beautiful thing. And I help you do that. So I can't wait to talk to you, Fit Mama. Send this message to someone else who deserves to hear it today. You deserve love. You deserve unconditional reverence. You deserve admiration. And it all starts with you saying that to yourself. I deserve admiration. And I am loved. And I look effing hot. And I deserve a walk or a workout or a break or a sleep. And I'm going to give that to myself. No one can give you the feelings you want to give to yourself, because they're for you. Can't wait to talk to you, Fit Mama. Have a great day. Namaste.